Marky Worthington Podcast all day.
All day.
Dream by night.
Don't buy me a drink. Just give me $10.
All day.
Go down to the strip club with your floppy disk and turn it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right. You'll get fucking thrown out by Big Tony. We're here to name names and make people feel more ashamed for shit that they're not proud of.
Don't blow it. Keep it simple. Count your money.
Oh, whatever it is.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to the Marky Worthington Comedy Podcast. This is episode 32 with Jeffrey Charles, part one of the Jeffrey Charles episodes, and the first one back for the year 2021. So welcome everyone to the new year, and hope you enjoyed the intro track at the start of the podcast. Got a buddy of mine, Kirky, who's been along to a couple of the open mics, and also is a buddy of mine from the music scene, to help me out and produce a different intro track with a couple of samples. So I hope everyone's enjoying that. Here's something a bit different to get you into the podcast. Same song, but just with the samples laid over the top. Let me know what you think of that one. You may have also seen that I've got the Marky Worthington gaming stuff on my YouTube channel, so if you haven't checked that out already, go over and have a look. I've got a game up already, first episode, which is Mortal Kombat Complete on N64. Play through with my buddy Dave, and I do some versus modes on that, so check it out. So as far as dates, we've got Basement on Wednesday the 20th of January. That's the open mic at the Basement. I've already got a lot of interest in that one, so make sure you head on down and check that one out. It's always a good lineup and a good crowd to come see, so thanks everyone for the last few, and let's see that the new year kicks off with some more. Jeff also has a date coming up with Fundamentals at Smith's on Thursday the 21st of January. There'll be ticket sales up online, so check him out at his social medias to follow the tickets for those ones, if it's not sold out already. So yeah, head on out to those two, and enjoy the rest of the episode. I had heaps of fun recording this one with Jeff. As you can probably tell by the two-part episode, it went for a bit longer than I first thought, which is great because it means that the conversation was flowing and we just managed to lose track of time, which is really good. And thanks Jeff for being on the show, and thanks everybody for listening. Now let's get into the episode. Cheers. Got Jeffrey Charles here, man. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good to have you in the home studio.
Yeah, it's good. I almost didn't make it today due to a bee sting emergency. So it was like,
holy shit!
Yeah,
all right,
man.
Let's get into that.
Okay. Well, yeah. This is my like middle class tragic life that I live. But I was, I always say to my kids, like, put your shoes on when you go outside. Blah blah blah. And I generally do it. Like, I've got an old crappy pair of Asics that have literally got duct tape on the bottom because I got holes in them. Like, it's terrible. But they're my outdoor shoes. Like no one's. I'm not a big enough comedian that the paps are turning up and taking photos of me in my what are those shoes. So I head out the back and I just said to my wife, oh yeah, I've just got to check on. I was checking on the clumping bamboo at my house or something like that. This is my like bourgeois existence. And then I stepped on a bee. I don't think I've had a bee sting in like 15, 20 years. Like, man, my right foot, which is my driving foot as well, it's like the size of a grapefruit right now. It's mental.
That's insane.
I was panicking because I was like, oh, I'm going to have to go get an Uber to Marky's place. And my wife's like, just get in the car and just drive there. So that's me.
You made it, dude.
I made it.
Glad. Yeah, so like without the art of podcasting, people wouldn't know your story. Yeah. Like and also like for anyone that's scouting Jeff for any promos later on, just make sure you listen back to this episode and hook him up with some mad kicks. Like
I need it. Yeah.
And then hit me up for the playback, like the audio file, like to use as a sample. I feel like that's where marketing's going now. Like I remember like I'm a bit younger than yourself, but I remember when I was younger, and it wouldn't have been much different when you're a kid either. It was all like TV and radio. It was like anything that was on TV in the morning between cartoons and stuff was like the next big thing. Whereas now, something can be released online and advertised only on certain YouTube channels or podcasts. And if you don't listen to those shows, you don't know about it.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely. Yeah, it's crazy. The diversification of it is just nuts. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, I've also got a budding, well, not really budding, maybe burgeoning perhaps, It's not at all, actually. It's just it's a barbecue channel that I've set up on my Insta feed. So if you're into smoking meats, head up Jeffrey Charles Comedy, and you'll see me. Most of my content is just me smoking ribs and stuff like that.
Nice.
So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, dude, I love that. Like, I wouldn't put it past someone with like such a floral shirt not to be into the meat smoking industry.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Dude, with that shirt and it looks like meat smoking's a front. Like, it's like, like, hey, you guys want to party?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's just a ruse, that I've set up. It's no, I just got into it. It was weird. It was during lockdown, and I started watching the Chef Show. The two shows actually, the Chef Show on Netflix, which is Jon Favreau and Roy Choi.
Yep.
And like Roy Choi is like the godfather of the food truck movement.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's a Korean American chef. Mm-hmm. And have you seen Chef with Jon Favreau?
No, I've seen the what is it? The Smoke Off Challenge. Where
Oh,
they have,
I know the one you're talking about. That's
cook,
like a game show.
Yeah, no, it's like a Cookmasters thing where they like get different people to cook barbecue different ways, and they compete against each other. It's like
it's kind of like MasterChef, but barbecue.
But barbecue,
yeah. No, that was
it's like MasterChef but fatter.
More calories.
Dude, actually, all the judges are like that cowboy style, like tall, thin dudes with mustaches and 10-gallon hats.
Like Texan hipster kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, I went on the deep dive with that. I watched that, and then another amazing show is Ugly Delicious, and which is David Chang's show, another Korean American chef, but he's massive. Like he's like a huge restaurateur, and he's got that show's awesome. Like if you ever want to look at like the history and stuff like that of food and like the social stuff with it, it's really good. And the ones I was drawn to was the barbecue stuff. So then I thought, I want to try to learn how to smoke meats. So I ordered a smoker and got into it. It's cool. Like, and everyone we have over, like they're just, they're like really enamored with it, because I guess so few people do it.
Yeah.
Like with the actual, like a lot of people like will buy like a Weber and just like, but if you really want to get into it, it's a real art. Like,
oh man, I can imagine. Like, after I watched I think it like sparked something in me a little bit, but like I'm just way too fucking lazy to do that. So I literally got into like buying steak rubs and different sauces and stuff. That's as far as I go with it. Like I just oven stuff and cook on the barbecue for just normal barbecue.
For sure,
I can nail a barbecue, just a normal, old standard barbecue you can do with the bloody
put some snags on kind of
snags
thing.
on type thing.
Yeah.
But there's a definite art behind it, man. I remember the best advice I ever got given for life by a school teacher was my year 10 construction teacher. Like we had this class called construction, right?
Yeah.
And basically what it was is they'd get like a bunch of students to do like tasks around the school.
Yep.
It'd be like, all right, we need a set of stairs put in here because 4 kids have rolled down this hill.
Get the construction boys on it.
Get the year 10 construction. So we were surrounded by a school of shit that was built pretty fucking crap, because it was like just all like built by year 10, 11 and 12 kids. And we were actually known as our group, our year, chose construction year 10, 11 and 12, all like the same group. So we, instead of just doing like one, so like a lot of the time they'd be like, oh yeah, the 2009 year 10 class built those stairs, right?
Yeah.
But we had a few things around the school that were us, because like we stuck with it and like managed to get more. We did like a major project, which was like a staircase, and then we built like a rock wall next to it as like the handrail, and then like reconcreted the like bus stop and everything.
It's like your history, if you would, like
that's right,
your lineage, that you've left on there.
That's right.
That's
dude,
so cool, man.
Yeah. So like, did all that, and the thing was though, at the end of the year, it was like you'd go to your normal classes, right? You do like your normal like math, science, English. But then, like, for one class, you're a tradie.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, like, all of a sudden, everyone just whips out their, like, high-vis, gets changed, and, like, starts doing construction around the class. And the teacher that ran that was, like literally like a tradie, right? So we'd be, like, just midway through a class and then go out and just put on the high-vis and start being like, oh, yeah, mate, chuck us the bloody 30-pound hammer. And, like, it would just... And then just go back to, like, a normal class again.
Oh, that's great.
And at the end of the year, instead of doing construction, we had like a class before lunch. So the teacher brought in like a Weber barbecue.
Oh, excellent.
And we had like a feed at the end.
That's so good.
And the advice he gave me as he's cooking the barbecue, we're all standing around. But by this point, there's like 6 of us left in this class because most of them that wanted to pursue construction had gone in to get apprenticeships or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes like, now remember, boys, when you're cooking a barbecue, steaks, don't flip them often. Snags, turn them often.
Yep, correct.
That's the only advice that I
That's
needed.
good. That's good advice.
And I've been able to cook a barbecue ever since.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I reckon cook at low heat as well.
That's another thing.
Low heat, because I mean that's the thing. Like, you know, like when you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, let's just get it done, like burn it out, and that's again, I'm a bit older than you are, Marky, but like I remember in the 90s and like I only have very vague memories of the 80s, but definitely like family barbecues in the 90s, and you've got like the full on carcinogenic sausages. You know, it's just like eating charcoal.
Did you have the flame, like the heat bead sort of barbecue?
Yeah. So we had like the old old school Weber, where you basically had the charcoal at the bottom, and then a fire starter, and that was it. And I don't think we got a gas barbecue until like I would have been like a teenager. So we had the ancient Weber that's probably got like rust all over and stuff. It's amazing we're all still here. Like, cause maybe that's what, enabled us to go further. Like, it's just that, but yeah, so eating barbecue food from that was, like you'd still enjoy it. Like, oh, it's a barbie, but it's terrible. Like, low heat, like cooking at low heat is always like, well, cause you're burning all of like the sinews out and stuff like that. You're actually just, I don't know, unless you're doing like a really thin steak, like a skirt steak or like a minute steak or something where it's just boom, boom, done. Yeah, that could be high heat, easy. But yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude. My butcher, if he's tuning into this, would love this section.
Oh yeah, no. I'll have to hit him up. Yeah.
Dude, in case I don't look like the kind of guy, I have a close relationship with my butcher.
Yeah.
In case you wouldn't already know by looking at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like as in he'll come around. We have barbecues and stuff.
That's
like
awesome.
that's how kind of like I went to his birthday and shit. We watched Star Wars together and it's just one of actually funny.
This is ticking most of my boxes.
Yeah, dude. It was actually it's pretty funny. What happened was his birthday. I was like, oh, it was just before the late like the first of the new series of Star Wars came out, like Force Awakens or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's a nerd. He loves he's like sci-fi and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's his birthday. I'll buy him 2 tickets for the Star Wars movie,
nice.
right? So I take him to him. He's with his girlfriend. I'm like, oh, here's 2 tickets, man. And he was just like, oh, thanks, dude. And he turns to his girlfriend and he's like, oh, do you want to come with me? And she's like, I'm not really into Star Wars. So within the same breath, he's like, do you want to come with me? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I went and watched Star Wars with him when I really was just going to give him the tickets. So that kind of was like why we hang out sometimes after work and shit. Like, it's just one of those things. But I've been seeing my butcher for like 8 years, dude. Wow. I get all my meat from the butcher. I don't tend to. I sometimes buy like ham and like things from Woolies or Coles or from the supermarket. You watch as I edit the names out later.
For future sponsorship deals.
Yeah. If you want to unlock the names there.
So actually, we've got a Patreon set up.
Yeah. For a mere $5 a month, you can see where I actually shop. Yeah, so
no, you've got like a GoPro.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the turkey.
Yeah, do everything in 2 takes, one with and without it. But for the most part, I try and get all my stuff from the fresh food markets or from wherever, just because I find that the quality's a bit better.
Yeah.
And also that like a lot of it, like he smokes all of his own meats and everything. You should probably appreciate that more, knowing the inner workings behind that.
Some of them, yeah.
But so I've been seeing him for a while. But it reminds me of when you're talking about smoking, and so you listen to the Monday morning podcast.
I do on and off.
On and off, yeah. So our mutual friend Bill Burr.
I think he knows of us.
Yeah.
I saw him from very far away at the Sydney Opera House in 2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Cool.
was,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
amazing.
That's-
It was the best I've seen. Yeah,
That's
like
re-
he was incredible.
Yeah, cool. Because that's I was listening to a couple of throwback episodes, and I was listening to one from before he went to that gig.
Oh, right.
So I kind of had like the lead up to that gig, which had already happened.
Ah.
So it was weird to like listen back to old episodes and then think, oh man, he like recorded this in 2012 or
Yeah,
2013, and you're like, fuck, dude, this guy's been at the grind for so
Oh, he's a pro's pro, man. He's like he was. I took my brother to that for his birthday, and he's like not like that much into comedy. He like appreciates it, but that's not his thing. Like us, and
Can't have too many comedians in the same family.
that's it.
Yeah.
But he's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those ones where like I think if he worked at it, he'd probably be better, than I am, which is not terribly difficult to be fair. But it's yeah, like a little bit of effort, guys, and you'll outstrip me. But yeah, like it's
Fine.
yeah, well, maybe. I got the tickets to. So he did 2 shows. So I left it really late, and I think I bought them like the day before or something like that. And there were we were right up the back, and we were doing the late show. We got the late show, but like and so as we were going there, like my brother said, "Oh, so who is this guy?" And I said, "Oh, he's amazing." Yeah, and he really liked it, which was great. Because there's nothing worse than taking someone to something and they were just like, "Oh no." So he was like, "Yeah, no, I really appreciate it." But yeah, no, he was awesome. Like Bill, like he was so good, and he just had like he had this long tangential story about like when he got caught drink driving and stuff like in Boston in the 90s, and
Where he's trying to change the tire.
No,
okay.
it was a different one from memory. It's been a while, like so. That was nearly 6 years ago, actually. So gosh, time flies. But yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing. Like to say that you've seen it, I was just like, gosh, yeah.
Well, see, I don't think so I've been in comedy for just over 3 years now, and I don't think the entire time I've been doing comedy, he's come to Australia. Like, I think 2015 was like the last time he's been here. So.
Yeah, I think he really like obviously he was massive. Like, I mean, if you're doing the Opera House, you're doing a lot of things right. Like you're big, but he's just gone like bigger and bigger and bigger. Like,
Ever since,
yeah, man. Like he hosted Saturday Night Live recently.
Yeah,
like that's
insane,
huge.
yeah.
Like it's Nah, he's so good. Like he's amazing. I know. I listened to the Monday Morning Podcast on and off. I actually. I listened to a bit, like didn't get through all the episode, but because I've got kids and you've just got to be really careful of like what you can play. So I've got like the USB Bluetooth headphones. So I've got the Bluetooth headphones, but then I hadn't.
I'm not
synced
editing
it yet.
that together. I'm going to leave the USB part in there.
I like USBs. They're vintage. Like they're the VHS of today.
Dude, how weird will it be one day when you find an old flash drive and you're like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, man.
There's nearly to that point now. Like, I don't like people use them for documents and stuff, but like I feel like your like various document storage methods online that I'm not going to name particular brands.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, like I mean, there's various ones. There's Dropbox and Google, but like I'm not going to put those names in this podcast. I'm going to edit them out.
Let's shout out the up and coming ones.
Yeah.
Like internet storage.
Yeah.
Free internet storage.
Yeah.
We've got your back.
Yeah. What's the you know how we used to buy software and it would come with like, oh, we also have this software. If you want to tick this box, we'll install this as well. Like if you, so it would just be like random things like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, great. Yeah, I want
this.
a random toolbar in my Internet Explorer that like shows me how to do stuff. Before you know it, you like open up Internet Explorer and I think they're big enough. They don't need my help. So
no, like I remember it was like again, I might be a bit too old. Like, did you come across like LimeWire and Kazaa and all that stuff?
Yeah,
our big thing for downloading
yeah.
was Lost episodes. Yeah, because it got to a point like I stuck with Lost as a show, and it kind of some people swear by it, but I think it really started jumping the shark.
Died off pretty hard.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, I still watched it. Like it's one of those things. It's like. I guess I'm a bit of a commitment person. Like I commit to it.
True,
I'm in with it. Like I watched all of True Blood. That the last 4 seasons were bad. Like and yeah, I should have. That's like how many hours? Like 10. Yeah. So that's like 40 hours of my life that I lost. Like, you know, it's,
Fuck, dude.
it's just, you
It's
know,
like Buffy, dude. My
Yeah.
buddy who was part of that same crew of like LimeWire and all that stuff. Like there was times where everybody just had box sets of everything before
Totally.
they
Yeah,
downloaded
man.
shit, right?
Yeah.
And he had the Buffy box set, and he was like, "All right, I haven't watched this box set, and I've been looking at it, and I've not devoted the time to it. Next 2 week school holidays, like the shorter breaks that you have throughout the year, I'm not stopping until I've finished it."
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yeah.
Legitimately, he said, for nothing but between like 10 to 16 hours a day, he did nothing but watch Buffy for 2 weeks.
Was he wearing like an adult nappy or something?
Dude, he was like, well, he took breaks on Animal, but he became a demon, and Buffy had to slay him by the end of the series because he like ate too much, like and just yeah.
I had like not Buffy related, but we got the kids a Switch for Christmas, yeah, because you know recent times have been challenging because I'm from Sydney originally, and I've only been living in Canberra pretty much since in the same space of time that you've been doing comedy. So I've only been living here about 3 or 4 years, but I like you know they weren't able to see many of my family members this year, so which was
You normally head back for
Christmas
usually
or we try and go back a couple of times a year if we can,
yeah.
but obviously it's challenging now, like as the kids are getting older because they got school and stuff, and you know they have friends parties, all that sort of thing. Like when when the kids are really little, you can just take them wherever you want. It's almost like almost like another piece of luggage. You know?
Yeah.
You can just pop them in the car and boom, you're gone. But anyway, so we couldn't do any so they couldn't see their family, so we thought, we'll buy a Switch, and it's been great because they've since having the Switch they've just forgotten everything else. Like Switch is their universe. Like I get woken up like, Dad, set up Mario Kart 8, and I'm just like, ugh. It's just like it's just terrible at like 6:30 in the morning. But anyway, so I had some my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law live here in Canberra. Actually, my brother-in-law Tony, he's seen you, and
cool.
he's been to a whole bunch of things. He used to come. He came to see us at the Phoenix quite a lot when that was on.
Right, yeah.
So this is like 2018.
It's weird that the Phoenix is a memory and not a thing that's still happening. Like
Yeah,
it
it's sad.
seems so like still fairly fresh that it.
Oh, yeah.
But like I was thinking about it, I'm like that hasn't ran for a while. Like
No.
our
Nearly
mutual,
2 years. Yeah.
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 Our mutual friend Dylan Holmes has been on the podcast before. I kept saying to him because I used to record most of my sets when I emceed with a GoPro.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
And I don't tend to do that as much anymore unless someone specifically want to copy their set.
I should ask you for that next time. Yeah. That'd
Yeah,
be great.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, but I usually, when I get off stage, will hit stop and then hit start before I go back up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'd only been emceeing like 2-3 times maybe before this, and I left it recording and I captured Dylan's first ever set.
Wow.
At Phoenix.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, well, he said it would be around his first, like
Yeah.
if not his first. And I was just like, I keep saying to him, like, I could just delete it, dude,
Yeah.
or I could just keep it until you want it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't want it, delete it. And I was like, okay. But like, you might not ever have your first ever set again. Like, it's one of those things where it's like,
that's-
you don't want to watch your first set,
No.
but it's good to have, like, in case, like,
Oh, yeah.
when it's like one of those things, like, while it's still fresh, it's still kind of cringy, but like,
Oh yeah. It's
eventually it's so cringy it's funny again because it's been enough time since then. Like,
well, and also it's part of your story. Like I think that's a big thing that that I think with comedy how it is now. Like because you look back at comedy. Oh man, comedy like any genre changes, but like a lot of comedy these days is people just telling their stories. It's very narrative based. It's very personal, idiosyncratic. And yeah, I guess if you did go back and look at that stuff, I think I've got video footage of it. Must be on probably like my wife's. Oh god, like iPhone, like 7 versions ago.
Yeah.
Of when I first started at the Mug and Kettle in Sydney, in where was it? Oh god, in Glebe in Sydney, in like 2013.
Yeah,
oh god,
shit.
I would not want to watch it. No way. I mean, actually, I had a good it went well, but like I was just like, no way. I couldn't handle it.
Man, it's like my first ever set. I did it at Smith's, right? I was like, set didn't go too well to start with, and then I went into like some more material, which was kind of more of a story-based thing, which worked a little bit better. Wasn't bad for a first set. I don't want to watch that shit, dude. Like, I think in my 2-year anniversary of starting comedy, fell on a open mic.
Yeah.
And I was going to do...
Was it at Smith's?
Yeah, it was at Smith's,
yeah.
And I was actually thinking of doing my first set again, like just to like a callback.
Yeah.
But it was just so shit that I was like, I don't even want to do that material. There is something to be said about revisiting old material. Like the amount of times I've like put something on the back burner and come back to it once I had like a better setup or something else that worked into it. I'm like, yeah, cool. Yeah. But yeah, it's like that first set there. I think it lies where it stays. Yeah.
I think it's hard. Yeah. I mean, like, I think I'd say it's akin to like, it's like, planting a, planting a plant. That's a terrible analogy. Planting some sort of tree, I think.
Yeah.
Like, and particularly, one that'll, I don't know, like grow, hopefully, over, like not something that'll shoot up like a weed, but something that'll take time. Like, I think, yeah, you're right. Like, there are bits that just, they come to mind and you try it once and, like I recently did that. It was a bit, I hadn't done it for a while. It was when I dislocated my shoulder earlier in the year and I was having to take oxycodone all the time just because the pain was like immense and it was just difficult to sleep. And I did it again recently when I stupidly, I did them both playing Ultimate Frisbee and I shouldn't, like I'm still playing at quite a high level. And I used to play at a very high level when I was younger and fitter and not as heavy. But
just can't keep up to your same
I'm
level.
30, I'm 36 nearly. And that's the thing. Like you look at those elite athletes, and I'm definitely not one of them. And they're like saying like he's now 36 years old, and I was like I was marking this guy who was like 19. Like I'm nearly old enough to be his father. Like and but anyway, so I did this bit, and I'd only done it once or twice. And then because I was getting these crazy dreams on the oxycodone, like and then I just did it again. I did a Blackbird about 2 weeks ago, and I pulled it out and it went well. But I was like, geez, I hadn't done that bit for like 6 months, so it was a risk, But yeah, it's one of those things like you do sort of, it's like what it is. It's taking a plant, repotting it, and then you put it into another space.
Yeah.
That's what like that. I think that's kind of like what it is with comedy.
True,
in my opinion. Like
yeah, for sure. Like I've done that before with certain gigs where you're like, man, you might have. I don't do this anymore. I used to sometimes tailor my material for the crowd or venue, and I would change it up depending on. How my previous set went there or whatever, and I sort of be a little bit self-conscious about certain jokes. Yeah. But now I'm like more stubborn and like set with like, which is the opposite to how my personality should be. It should be like dynamic and evolving, but instead I've like reversed that and I've gone more like stubborn and hard with my. But I'm it's more so like in a joke sense. It's like. I'll start out like with a bit that I'm like, that could do with some work, and then try again. Nah, it's not quite hitting. Yeah. But then I'll just consistently try it with different intros, surround it by different jokes, have like a different lead up, different punchline, open with it, close with it, see if I can like work out why it's not working before I throw it away. Yeah,
I think like it's sort of. I think, look, the best metric is to see, are the jokes landing? But, like, you can't jettison every bit. Like, if you're out there, really, like, pushing the boundaries and you're thinking, like, okay, this might go well, this might not. Like, if you know consciously that you're doing, like, a high-risk act. Like, you've got to have such a level of craft to pull off, like, really, just, like, not even just, like, content-wise, but also just... like or like appropriateness, but it's also just like the difficulty of the joke. Like there are some jokes that are so nuanced and so built into what you're thinking that the audience might not understand it, and they might just go like, oh, I've got like this is like listening to an insane person like up there. So no, man, you can't jet it. Like you gotta weave it in. Like you made a good point about my stuff. It was at one of the basements in the latter half of this year after the lockdown. Yeah. And you said, I like how you add bits as you go. Yeah, like you do a bit and then you put little bits on. Yeah, and that was good feedback because cool, I appreciate it because because that's the thing. Like, I need to make sure that I'm looking at my process and going, oh, right, well, how do I build bits? And
Just giving a 7-year comic advice like a fucking...
no, but I'm not like, I'm not Bill Burr.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, but it's just fun. Like, I also learnt something with certain crowds is sometimes they can... I just did it then. I'll start like several conversations and finish them and then get to what I actually want to say.
Isn't that just being a millennial? Like,
yeah.
what do they say? I saw online, it was a millennial is having 3 different conversations on 3 different social media platforms with the same person at the same time.
That's yeah. So I have that where I'll start something and I'll go like, fuck that bit. And then I'll like circle back to it or I'll do a callback or something. To like an original bit, which will lead me on another tangent. And for crowds that don't have that mindset, they can sometimes get confused. It happened to me at Boardwalk a few months ago. I was doing a couple of bits that I've since worked out, but at the time it was the first time I tried it. And someone was heckling, and I said like something. I kind of went at them a little bit, and I was like, you don't like this bit or something? And they said, no, I'm just confused. And I was like, that's actually good feedback. Like, for once a heckler gave me something I can actually work with that's not just like putting him down.
Yeah.
It was the first time that I've had a heckler where I've gone like, oh, like, you're just trying to help. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
constructive feedback.
It was like,
it
was legit. I could have waited till after the show, but like at the same time, thanks for fucking having a crack. But, that happens though, like, because I can't think of something from someone else's like mind. I can only sort of I can only think of something from my perspective initially until I look at it from from the audience's point of view.
Okay.
So I might have like a really complicated thought process to lead up to one simple joke, and then I just tell the joke and they don't get how I got to that point. I sometimes need to like lead the audience to the finish. I can't just kind of like fast track them to the punchline without sort of doing a good lead up. But
I mean, I guess so. I mean, I think that's
I feel like
that's all of us.
I just confused all my listeners as well. They're like, yeah, dude, I know what you're talking about.
That's true for
dude,
me
if it's
too.
anything like this conversation, I can understand why the fucking person heckled you.
Well, let's get him in. You can give me some feedback as well. No, like, I just think that it's that art of just writing great jokes. Like, who is just, it just blows my mind that he's able to do it. Like Luke Burney, how he just gets up there and he just boom. How does he do it? Like, because I've literally got only 2 or 3 bits that are very sort of joke centric, and I guess I won't do them. I won't burn material here. But one of them's actually online. And it was from Short Fast Funny last year, and I did that bit and then like another comedian was like, oh, I really like that bit. And I'm like, thanks. And then it made me think like, oh, okay, that is really different to most of my stuff, because it was when I was emceeing fundamentals at Smith Alternative, and I was doing like
date.
Sorry?
Say the date.
I'll say the date. Yep, 20. Thanks. See, that's why you're the professional. So Fundamentals, Smith's Alternative, 21st of January. So,
beautiful.
I think it's about to go online. I've sent it through to the management there, and we'll see. But it'll be.
Oh,
good.
you already said the event, the venue. May as well just round that off.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, it's but. No, like
basement's on the 20th, so the night before. Make it 2 nights
back to back. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'll be there. I missed. Should I tell my story about? You see, I'm doing a Marky right now. I'm chopping all over the place.
Isn't
It is, man.
Yeah.
You're the dude. I'm a Marky acolyte. But what was it? So. It just every time I haven't seen Luke for ages because I think we just haven't been on the same gig, same nights, and like I got kids and I keep injuring myself playing Ultimate, so that has sort of cut into my ability to go to open mics, which is a real shame.
You're out there making material instead of using it.
Yeah, exactly. See,
You're still in the creating process.
I'm doing it all wrong. 7 years in, I'm still just But when I saw him at, I think it must have been at the Basement. I think. And
he did the first one back in May, and I haven't seen him there since.
That was where it was. He just went boom, 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 and like I'm just like, how did like I was just sitting there just in awe because I'm like, how does he do it? Like, my brain just can't, like, it takes me, like, I have to sit down and just think about a joke and think about a premise and go like, oh, how can that, like, yeah, it's just, it's a real art. And, Nick Schuller's another one. Like, Nick Schuller's just a great, just beat to beat joke writer. And I'm just like, oh, like, that's just, I wish I had that. So, Tomic's another one.
Tomic.
He's really good at it. Chris Ryan, she just has these, like, so, there's a lot. Whereas, I get caught up in storytelling, I think. But I guess, because I'm an English teacher, so I do. English teachers tell stories. That's what they do.
Other people's stories, but stories.
I'm basically just a plagiarist. That's what I am. That's what Shakespeare did, man. He just stole all that stuff and he just rewrote it. Like, Othello was written by an Italian writer, Cinthio, and he just basically took their stuff and I'm like, I'm going to make it good. And boom, done. He's like a comedian from the old days.
He's like Bill Gates from then.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that Luke Burney could be at the first mic back is because it always falls when he does something else on that night, and because of COVID, that other thing was cancelled. So he like for the first time in ever, he was able to actually get up at the basement. I remember that set was very fucking solid.
Yeah, it was great. Like I was just like, man.
Also, Luke's kind of he's been to the basement a couple of times as a patron just to watch bands and gigs and shit.
Right.
And I feel that sometimes he seems a bit more confident on that stage because it's like it's kind of a bit more of a few more people that are his crowd, like they know him and that sort of shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's good to see him there, but I never have landed it where he's been there on that night, and it just all the planets aligned, and he was able to play the basement. So that was fucking cool, man.
Oh, it's tough.
He's
I missed the last two basements because I did all my rib cartilage playing
That's
Ultimate.
right. Yeah.
Because I think I was closing Smith's. I don't think I saw you. I think I might have just seen the end of your bit. I just got in and
I opened,
Yeah, right. Okay. And did I tell you this one? Because I was closing. Marlton was emceeing.
That's
Chris
right.
Marlton, that is. And another great Canberra comic. And he and I'm sitting at the door at Smith's. As these like glass kind of, I think they're like French doors, pretty much.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
pretty much.
So full plain glass French doors. And actually, I'm storytelling right now. So this is it.
Painting a picture.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do.
Full paint, red surrounding.
That's true. Very bohemian. It is very red. It's like a sort of crimson burgundy kind of. And anyway, sorry, I'll stop doing so much
handle
imagery.
between waist and chest height. Yeah.
Just over a meter. No, so anyway, so I'm sitting there at the front, and then Luke Heggie walks in.
Yeah.
And I was just like, whoa, because I think he'd done a gig at the Canberra Theatre the night before.
Yeah, that's true.
And I recognised him, and he doesn't know who I am, obviously. So I said, oh, hey Luke, I'm Jeff. Would you like a spot? He goes, no, I'll just sit and watch. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, all right, I've got to go for it. And I did two bits that have gone well recently, but like I really went for it. Like I was at like, and it did, and I had a good set. I've recorded it. I was like, good. And then I got off stage, and then because I had all this rib cartilage damage, which is like these little sort of micro, muscles,
stuff,
all through up and down, like because I got taken out of the air playing frisbee, my legs. I had that moment of like weightlessness, I was just like, oh, not weightlessness, I'm still heavy, but I was like, oh shit, where are my legs?
This is gonna hurt, yeah.
Yeah, so I land. Apparently, people in the next field heard the impact.
Nice.
And but then I went to work for a week. And I had some oxycodone left over from when I did my shoulder back in February. So I was like, okay.
Waste not, want not.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go to work like an idiot. And I was really struggling. And then I'll go home and I'll just take one of them and I'll go to sleep. And I was really, like, people were saying, like, Jeff, you're all over the place. Like, you look foggy. And I was like, yeah, man, like, I'm out of it. So anyway, so I have that set. It did go well, thank God. And then, and I had a chat with him afterwards, and I was really holding it together because I was in so much pain. Like I thought I was having, all the pain was on the right side of the body.
Yeah.
But I thought I was having a heart attack. Like I thought I was having angina, which is, and it can travel. Like it's not just left side. So be heart safe.
Deferred pain.
Yeah. It's the referral pain. Like you can, you can actually have. Anyway, so
that's me. That's me in a nutshell, man.
No.
Close enough. I said fucking referred when it was deferred. Like, I'll like get you close enough to work it out.
You know what? That was like basketball. You gave me the assist.
Yeah.
You're like the point guard. I'm the alley-oop. I'm slamming it in.
Oh, dude,
just like
fucking I feel, dude, I don't know what you're like at basketball, man, but fuck, I feel sorry for any team where we're the choice.
We're like the it's like Space Jam, but we don't get the magic juice or whatever.
Yeah,
we just suck.
It's like we're like the under 6 foot Space Jam. You're like close to 6, like 5.
Oh, I'm like 5'10". Yeah, 5'9". I'm 175 centimeters.
Yeah, dude.
So
I'm 170, man. I'm fucked. Like
you're like a point guard from the 50s.
Yeah. Like
in the National Basketball Association. Marky Worthington on the Boston Celtics.
Oh fuck yes, dude! Like I feel like I would have been tall in the Middle Ages.
Dude, you got the beard to
yeah,
prove
dude.
it, man.
I feel like when you picture like the fucking Viking marauders and shit coming over the hill, that was because everyone was 5 foot and I'm 5'7".
Yeah. So I taught at a Catholic private school in Sydney, and there was the patron saint of said school, and like there was a statue of him near the front of the school, like in a courtyard kind of thing, and he was tiny,
Size.
Sorry,
they made it the actual.
Yeah, it was life size. It was as far as they know, obviously,
yeah.
But he was so short, and before, like, he was a mercenary in one part of his life, so. Yeah, man, like, it's crazy, like, how much... it's...
Well, you look at old houses, dude.
Oh,
Like, when you see, like, moving to the country and they're like, oh, here's this, like, up in the hillside, we've got this beautiful cottage made from, the 1600 fucking, like, design with the thatch roof and shit. And that's, like, the odd one, like, the wild card. And they're like, oh, it's a bit out of our budget. I was thinking maybe something with a taller door and that.
Be like, can you put a French door on that? Maybe one with a glass pane, like a Smith's Alternative.
Yeah, I'm thinking red glass door.
About like handle waist height.
Maybe make it a plummy burgundy colour.
Can you put a lamp on the top? Like, no.
Upside down, though. Like, I want it to look... Anyone that's played at Smiths knows what I'm talking about.
I love the vibe there. It's so cool. Like, even like Pat Doherty was, when he first did, I don't know, it was either just a mic or
did he tell you this is the best room in town?
Okay, well,
I thought I was the only one.
All right. Oh, you just broke my heart.
Oh, fuck. He just broke both our hearts. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah. No, I do, yeah. I mean, I love the basement too. It's fun. Like, I love in Canberra that there's such a distinct vibe with the different rooms. Like, they're not... maybe that's like every city, although... Because when I started in Sydney, a lot of the rooms weren't really distinct as such. So, like, the Mug and Kettle, which was set up by Daniel Muggleton.
Okay.
He's a Sydney comic. No. Yeah, he's really funny. He's really good. He was in the UK for quite a few years, and now he's back in Sydney.
I'm not fully across the Sydney scene, actually. I probably have more... connections in Melbourne than Sydney as far as comedians that I see regularly on my social medias and stuff.
I only know a few. Like, I mean, it's been a long time, Marky. Like, because I was doing mics for about a year, and then my wife and I had our first child, and it just got too hard, to go out and do mics. And also, like, I was teaching in a private school in Sydney, which was great, and it was really good development for me as a teacher, and it was fun. But, yeah, man, those private schools work you hard. Like, I was doing 50, 60 hours a week, and,
it's
insane,
yeah,
it's nuts, yeah. Like, I mean, and the pay's really good, don't get me wrong. Like, it's great. And it's really, not that this is an education podcast as such, but if someone wants to do that, it's a really good way to test yourself as if you want to develop. And
let's not label it just yet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah. No, you're branching out, like Marky Worthington Education. I like that,
exactly.
But
fuck, I think I'd be better off with a basketball team.
And he's back. Look at that rebound. Yeah. Well, so we're doing a few impressions. Your impressions are actually pretty good there. That sort of.
I've got
British
a couple
accent.
go-tos. I've got a couple go-tos, and I'll steer the conversation towards them. I could have very well done moving to the country Australia. Yeah. But that's like my normal accent, so I had to try and change it to the UK version. I do like a
Do. That's all right.
I'd have a Central West New South Wales accent.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah,
hit me. Let's go.
So I'll
so like Dubbo, is that Central West New South Wales, or am I
Wagga, Dubbo?
Wagga, okay, got it. Okay,
but like farm, like there's parts of Wagga where it's like the city. Like I've played there before with for Dane Simpson's room. the Riverina Comedy anyway. And it's not Dan Simpson's room, but you know.
Yeah.
And there is a different accent in the city. I'm talking grew up on the farm sort of area.
Because Wagga's a university town. They got Charles Sturt Uni, so it's going to be
There we go. Yeah. So you've got that, but my old man lives out that way, and he does welding and engineering.
Yeah,
and he'll get people call him up to do jobs for their farm, like build things, and most of the time he just, if he's working, will let it go to voicemail, and then in his lunch break or at the end of the day, he'll listen to all his voicemails and know who needs to call back, right? I was out visiting him once, and he's just like, "Oi, mate, listen to this." Hits play on the voicemail. Getting ready for the impression. So voicemail plays, it just gets, "Oh yeah, g'day mate, it's Dino here from down the road. Just wondering if you could get a chance to look at those dog cages that we were looking at the other day, mate. Yeah, no worries. Like if you haven't got a lot of time, we can get round to it maybe Tuesday. But if you can't, then I suppose it doesn't matter too much. But I'll bloody catch you around."
that's pretty good. I love that. You know what the really telling part was? The Tuesday.
Yeah,
Tuesday Mindy. It's I find that very
He just hits stop, but then he's like, "Oh, that one was like one of the more distinct one, but it was literally like about 5 messages from different people, all with that same style of voice."
Right.
But the best thing about it was, instead of like, if I leave you a message, which I wouldn't anymore, like I don't really leave voice messages, I'll just send a text, right?
Okay.
With what I would normally say in a voice message. But if I did leave a voice message, when I used to leave voice messages, I would just be like, "Hey Jeff, just call me back when you're ready."
Yeah.
Like you would see a missed call now and do that anyway, so I wouldn't leave the thing.
You'd presume,
But if it was something that I was like, this doesn't need to be a phone call, I'll just say it in the message. It'd be like, "Hey Jeff, need to reschedule Tuesday to Friday. Call me if that works, or message me."
Mm-hmm.
But this dude was just, "G'day, mate. How you going? Just wondering if..." Like, it just, like it was... Like, he had no concept of, like, time.
Yeah.
It was just like, I'll have a conversation with you via fucking no response from your end.
But you know what? I think it's kind of polite, too. Like, it's kind of sweet. Like, you start off with, like, a salutation. Like, "G'day, how are you?"
Yeah.
"Oh, how you going?" Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I guess you're right. But we're also busy though, and also like we don't check them. Like I rarely get them.
I'm glad now. I noticed recently with the iPhone did an update where actually no, the phone. If you want iPhone, you're gonna have to pay. So
get on board with the Patreon people.
I'm not gonna edit any of these out. I've given up.
Just keep it all gold.
Fuck it. If you pay me, I'll make another one.
Fair,
but
that's really fair.
Like the voicemails available through the phone without having to call it. It just comes up as like a sound bite, so you can just hit play without having to call.
Oh yeah,
the actual
like calling like 1 2 3.
Yeah,
God, I hate all that.
Yeah, so you're just sitting there listening back to it. And I remember like I get calls from recruiters for jobs, and they always try and butter you up if they leave a voice message. Butter them up. That's an idiom.
Yeah,
we'll get into that later.
Yep.
But anyway, so. Is that an idiom?
It is an idiom.
There we go. See, dude.
There you go.
So I was like, I know when I'm getting a call from a recruiter because they'll always start with something that's like, "Oh, hey, Mark, how you going? Just wondering if," like, because I'm Mark professionally.
Yep.
People don't realize that was the name change. Yeah. In case you don't know, so there's a they'll butter you up. So you'll listen to the voice message, and you'll, without even listening right through, just from the start, you'll know that it's someone trying to offer you a position to do something.
Yeah, right.
And for a while, mine was from F is for Family. It still is, I think. The answering machine, leave a message at the tone. I've 70s voicemail machine.
I've seen a few
episodes.
Yeah.
And the person that called me was like, didn't know where the reference was, but wanted to address it. So they're just like, "Oh, Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Anyway, Mark, if you want to call me back," and I just was like, "Dude, this, like, nice try. Yeah, nice try."
Yeah, he had a crack.
Yeah. So Yeah, that we spoke earlier about some random, you're an English teacher and idioms and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We're going to have a section after the break to get into some more of those. I've got actual content for the second part.
Beautiful.
So we'll burn through that. Thanks for listening so far, and we'll be back in a moment with the next part and get into some actual Marky Worthington education on the podcast. Please flip over the tape to side B to hear the rest of this podcast. Hey, and we're back. To you guys, that was only a matter of a little outro track and an intro track, so burning it all together. I mentioned before the break that we would get into some... it's a very English teacher heavy episode here with Jeffrey Charles. Just said it like on radio. You know how they like have to re-announce it in case.
Yeah.
For those of you just tuning into this podcast.
No, I did community radio for a couple of years back in Sydney.
Yeah.
I mean, no one listened, but yeah, it was good.
It's funny, man. Like I do community radio as a guest sometimes, but I used to do a full-time show there. And the show was from 10:30 till 12 on a Thursday night.
Wow.
And like when we switched over to digital only, no one hit me up and was like, "Hey, I've been listening to the show," and I tuned in and it wasn't on anymore. But I do think that community radio has helped me a lot with podcasting.
Oh, yeah.
And just like, obviously not mic position as you hear my voice fade in and out throughout this entire episode, but just some of the, like, it helps me probably better at being a guest on more progressive podcasts.
Yeah, for sure. Like
No, let me reword that. It helps me being a guest with on more professional podcasts. There we go.
But they could be progressive as well.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's I did Sunday night with Jeffrey Charles, and it was just me, and then I just make up sketch characters.
Yeah.
So I had like one. I was like Atticus Tennessee the Third, and it was just like this Southern accent. I was like, "Oh, I love Donald Trump," and I'd just be like, "I think," and this is 2015.
Yeah.
So years ago.
Just like when was Trump in? Was that
Trump 2016?
Yeah, okay,
November 2016. I think. So
okay.
yeah, it was man, it was just and I had like, so I just had to fill out time. So I had another character. It was called like Billy the Kid, and he'd be like, "Oh, Everton scored against Hull FC," because I had literally an hour just by myself.
Dude,
It's just
I've considered doing solo shows for this podcast if I can't get a guest or something like that. And I think that I could do it if I had like content, like something, like if I had like something to read out or whatever. But I need something to start me, and that's why having a guest, I tend to bounce the ideas a little bit better when I've got someone to talk to, and that's why I kind of been lucky enough to always have a guest on the show. But I feel like there would be a time at some point in the future where I might just wing it and try a solo show.
I've got an old one. Two comedians told me to bring it back, so I should, and a bunch of people in other aspects of my life, students and family friends. It's called like just the Jeffrey Charles podcast, and it's mostly just me in my car, and I'm just like talking about. There were some people who liked it. I mean, most people would be like, "This is terrible," but yeah,
dude, yeah, I definitely, there you go. In case I wasn't one of the two, there's the third person. So I listened to a few of your original like first impressions ones.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like I think that you've got, if you've got the ability to do it, you may as well. Like a lot of people can't just talk through stuff like that. Like I could probably keep an episode going by myself, but a lot of people can't. Like things that you just do naturally, you might not realize it's actually a skill because it comes so easily.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people that say to me like, "Oh, how do you get on stage and do it?" And then they see my set and they're like, "Oh, poorly."
No.
But it's that classic bit, right, where it's just like people are like, "Oh, comedy's so hard," until they watch you do it and they're like, "Oh, I might give this a crack." Yeah.
I had one. God, I did Blackbird. Actually, I'm at risk of burning a bit here, so maybe I shouldn't. But it's like,
something similar happened, or
okay, maybe. All right, sorry, that's a tease, everybody.
Yeah, there's a tease.
So
you can catch
if you
Jeffrey Charles at Fundamentals on the
21st.
Yep. What's that? A Thursday, the 21st of January.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
but we'll save plugs for the end instead of
beautiful.
Yeah, we'll pepper them throughout the episode, people that skip
weave them in.
Yeah. Now, I don't often get content ready for the episode, for the podcast. I think the last time I actually printed paper for the episode was when I did a movie review with Dylan Holmes and we did Alien vs Predator 1 and 2.
I'm a listener of that episode,
Yeah.
and many of your episodes, to be fair.
That's it's a last time I printed out stuff, but in the fashion of the English, I decided to bring in some idioms and their stories.
Oh, I love it.
So I got my top 10. There's some that I've said for years and didn't actually know the meaning for. But what we're going to do is, if you have a reason, like if you have an idea of what you thought that idiom came from,
Okay.
you just say it before you read the actual origin.
Right. I'll go blind,
Yeah.
and then we'll have a
But
reveal.
if you didn't used to use that, or you didn't know the reasoning behind it, then you just leave it. But like, I've got a couple in here that I've been using, and I created my own origin for them in my mind.
Okay, this is great.
While I was using them, and then I've actually found the actual origin.
Wow. Okay.
According to a website, so I don't really know how fucking legit that is, but
Please don't judge me as an English teacher either, because I'll probably get a lot of these wrong. So
and another thing is too, you're about to hear me read out loud, which is fucking dreadful. Like, as an English teacher, man, you'll probably understand. There's that guy in the class where you're like, all right, Mark, you want to just finish that paragraph there? And you're just like, all right, don't worry about it, Mark. I will just keep reading.
Yeah, I've done
was
that so many times.
And I used to have a buddy who's been on the podcast before, Jack Taylor. I used to always sit next to him, right? And whenever we'd do group reading, I would tag him in. So it'd be like a paragraph each, I don't know if that's still the standard. And
sort of,
No, it depends, Our teachers would do a paragraph each, So what I would do is I would go, all right, when I stop, you just take over and read the rest of mine plus yours. So I'd be like, going along like, and then the ancient Greeks would go to, all right, take it away, Jack. And then he would just finish the rest of the thing.
Oh, what a good guy.
And do his, man. I would just tag him in. And the teacher would like pull me up and be like, Mark, we need you to read. I'm just like, look.
Yeah.
You just cut a deal. You're like...
Exactly.
I was that deal cutter kid. It's just like, look, miss, you're still getting your paragraph out of it. It doesn't matter who it comes from, whether it's... I mean, Jack's a far better reader than
better
me.
for all
You're
of
actually
us.
getting more quality out of me making this. Like, I'm a bit of a fucking merchant when it
No,
comes to
but it's
getting out of
like-
shit I don't want to do.
I'm always a believer, you got to meet the kids where they're at as well. I within reason, as long as you do your work and stuff. That's like the non-negotiable. But I'm not going to force the kids if they're not comfortable doing it. Like it's a mixture because you want to help kids develop. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into teaching now.
I got to the point where the teacher would be like midway through like the other side of the class, and there'd be a short paragraph like, before we move on to Joe or George or whatever, might just get Mark to read this one. Here's one for you, buddy. And then I would just like go through it and
It's
be
like a 2-sentence.
Yeah. They're just like, oh, that's a good one for you, actually, Mark. Like, I've been in a class in primary school where the teacher used me as an example, but not a good example. Like, for example,
that's terrible.
Well, dude, so what happens is, I still laugh about it to this day. The teacher goes like, Jake, you haven't got your book out yet. You haven't even got a pen. What are you doing? Even Mark started work now. And I was like, holy shit, man, I'm the fucking example. I like set the... And the teacher tries to cover their tracks. I like, which is good, Mark. Like, good. And I just,
you're coming along. You're coming along. You're doing really well,
That teacher used to get so angry that she would stomp her feet. How weird is like the 90s were a weird time for learning different like teaching methods. It was
teaching methods, man. I had a teacher, year 4 teacher, so I was 9.
Yep.
He would do you remember the big 1 meter rulers?
Yep.
He would, if we talked, he would just slam them on the desks.
Yep.
Like, and full on. This is a grown man. He was big too. He was like at least 6 foot.
Yeah.
And he just slam it, and it was so loud, your ears would ring afterwards. It was like going to see Tool or something. And you come out like one of the first times I saw them, I didn't bring earplugs, and it was the entertainment center. It was so like my ears were ringing for a week. I was sitting there in business studies. They're like, so Jeff, what do you think about the SWOT analysis? It's like, I'm like, this is great. Like,
dude, at least you got to see Tool, not just like see your English teacher.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, man, I couldn't believe that. And I had another teacher used to throw whiteboard markers at us. Like,
I've heard that with the chalk duster, like before my time, but My parents were like of the nun era, so like
Oh,
they said that
that's
that's like
tough.
some fucking traumatic shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, like it's fucking insane the amount of shit that used
Oh,
to
it's
happen
nuts.
and
It's
stuff.
crazy.
Like,
It's
but-
like, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've pretty much always done public schooling.
Yep.
In case you're not about to know that when I start reading this fucking thing, but
No, I don't. I didn't. Whatever. You know, you meet people where, yeah, like I wouldn't have known.
yeah, okay, well,
Like,
good.
you know, and not that matters. Like, I know public and private. Who cares? You know,
yeah, well,
Catholic. Yeah.
Now that you're teaching, do you ever look back and think back to when you were a student and you're like, oh, that teacher was having a problem then
Yep,
that
totally.
I'm having
Yeah,
now?
definitely. I regret. Like, I remember I took so many things so personally as a student, as you do. You know, like. And also, like, you know, you're a young person, you're maturing into who you're going to be.
Naturally, yeah.
You know, you're going through that, what they call it, the Bildungsroman process, the coming of age. And then, like, you know, these teachers are like, you know, they've had, like, the hardest thing is when you've got, like, a 5-period day. So it's like 5 hours in front of, you know, well, let's call it an audience. And sometimes, like, in my year 11 classes, he had 28. Like, that's, you know.
A big
That's like
class,
it's a big class. That's a lot. Not the basement, but that's bigger than a lot of the rooms that we've played. And you know, or at least equivalent size. And you're doing that 5 times a day. Like, you're just exhausted. So you reach period 5, and it's after lunch.
You're just keen to go and perform to 5 people instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just like, who wants to see me bomb? Like, you know. But it's yeah, man. It's so, you know, there's teachers going through stuff like, you know, like, yeah. Life.
Personal shit, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like I remember when I first started, it was around when I started comedy, and then I became a father not long after that, maybe like about 8-9 months later. And probably even less actually. Yeah, so and yeah, man, it was so, like, I was exhausted every day. Like, every day it was like waking up with like a colossal hangover.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, and then if you were dumb enough like I was to have a couple of drinks, you know, have a few glasses of wine before going to bed.
Yeah.
I was like walking through molasses during the day. It was so hard. And yeah, and then you're having to teach kids, you know, like HSC English and everything. Like, and there's some kid, you know, who's like, oh, I hate you, sir. Like, yeah, it's just like, yeah.
Did you take things personally as a teacher?
Oh,
when-
big time.
Yeah.
Early on, every time. Like, I got so upset. They used to call me the Ferrari because
Yeah.
I'd just go 0 to 100, like, boom.
Yeah,
And I get so angry. And I didn't realize that, like, a lot of kids are they're just there. They're just going to school. And some kids, you know, they really want to do well. They've got a uni course they want to get into.
Yep.
And they're like, you know, I want to go and do like law at ANU or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like when I was in Sydney, it was Sydney University. And that's like, you know, like, that's the ladder to heaven or however they saw it. And so those kids, you just kind of like, you just help them along the way, and they come to class every day and whatever. But like other kids, you know, they're just there, they're just filling time, you know, like you know, they don't like English.
Yeah.
They don't want to learn about Shakespeare. They're just there, they're just chilling out. And you've got to be like, okay, so, you know, like Macbeth is about this, and they're just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Now you kind of like go, I think you just get better at teaching as well, like
True.
anything, you know. So I
Just
just
like
kind of,
comedy, you like.
yeah, you have a good set, you have a bad set, you have a good audience, you know, like.
I still take it personally whenever I have a bad set.
Oh, yeah.
How many times do you see a comedian, if they don't do too well, just become a completely different person?
Yeah, totally. It's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like yeah.
I've seen people walk off from the stage, not like, so they've been
Yep.
heckled
And
or
they're
whatever,
fuming.
and
Yep.
they've just not
Yeah.
even anything, just straight out the door and in their car and
Oh.
away they go. And
Yeah,
I've seen that before,
Wow.
and fuck, dude. It's like, I always describe us. I was actually talking to Pat Doherty about this when we were off the stage. Whenever someone bombs on stage, man, especially when I MC,
Yeah.
I feel like Mo when Homer's doing boxing and he's getting the shit kicked out of him by fucking Tatum.
Yes.
And he's just like, I can't fucking watch this, dude. And he just runs out. Like,
Yeah. That's like bombing.
I just feel like
Yep.
coming back as the fan man and taking the
Yeah.
person out of the...
Yeah, definitely, man. Good analogy.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that.
like I literally can't watch sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I do like to see someone that starts bombing and they fucking... All the comedians are like cringing on their behalf. And then they fucking bring it around, and before you know it, they walk off like they're fucking like
Yeah.
the next big thing. It's
Yeah.
like, holy shit! Like, it's hard enough to keep a crowd going.
Oh, yeah.
It's even harder to turn it around after you've fucked up?
Oh, definitely. Oh man, like I remember it was one of the it was a recent basement, and I just had too much on. Like I think I had like fundamentals that week or something, and work, family, everything, and I was just going through this phase. I was going through my material way too quickly. Like, and I had this like somebody. I had a joke about something, and then like something related, and then this guy said to Dylan Holmes, who's now in Perth, said like, is that Jeffrey Charles on speed right now? Like, cause I was just gunning through this, and it was just it was too much.
Happens,
it happens, and yeah, it was funny. I had another one like a night where I did better thankfully, and at Blackbird, but I don't know about you. I'm never as happy unless you're absolutely destroying, like and you've done really well. I'm always like, oh, that could have been better. And I had an okay set, like I was happy with it, and but like when I got off the stage, I was just like, oh no, I was just like, yeah, that was, but then like 5-6 people came up to me, they're like, I loved your stuff, and I was like, oh okay, so it's one of those things. Like I think it's often in our heads, and it's hard with comedy because it's so like it's just you thinking about your jokes and yourself all the time.
I've addressed that on stage, and I've just said like, how the fuck is this a thing that you've come out to watch? Like.
That's the master undersell.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here like, why
what are you doing
here? Like, who called a fucking Uber? Like, you paid money to before you even walked in the door.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I've brought that up on stage. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I literally like thought of half of this shit while I was on my way here.
Yeah,
you're like,
you're investing time into this.
Yeah, like what makes me different from fucking anyone else? But all of a sudden, I'm up here doing it. I think some people perform to the audience, and some people are kind of part of the audience. Like I'll sometimes do sets where, like, I address the fact that I'm on stage and you're there and you're watching me do this, which for some reason this is entertaining for you. And then sometimes I'll just go up there as if I was doing like an arena. And I don't address the fact that there's an audience there. I'll just say my set and leave. And it depends on the vibe of the room.
Yeah.
It'll be like that end. Like, that's in my mind. The only time I'm ever going to be in an arena is if I pretend that the open mic is an arena. But yeah, I just have to do it that way. Like sometimes I'll have a set that I need to rehearse and I'll just go, all right, and then smash it out. Like it's specific audience, I'll just go for it. Other audiences might be more of like an active crowd, and I'll reactive, and I'll kind of have a bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
And I'll break that fucking fourth wall, or I'll just go out there and just be like, "Here's my performance. Thank you. Bye."
Yeah. I think like different rooms, different energies, and also like it's what you're going through. It's kind of like it's hard to. This is where I think like comedy is kind of different to music in that there's a lot of similarities, like there's rhythm to both. I think a big time, but like like if you play a bum note, anyone can hear it. Even someone who's not musical, they'll be like, it's like
I love it when I hear that at the bar, dude. I fucking love it. I'm just like, man, I love how that dude just fucked that solo up.
But you're in it as well. Like you're like it's like when we see one of our friends. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh no, I cut you off to say it. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Like when we see one of our friends, and like we see each other's bits all the time, and you can tell when you miss a beat, when they miss a beat in their show, and and I'm like, oh yeah, that could have been here, etc. But the audience doesn't know that. That's the big difference with comedy. Like they might not get the joke, or they get it, but they don't they don't have as much of an understanding of it as with music, where there's that pre-programmed thing of like, oh, this is in the key of E, and this note doesn't fit in. Everyone hears that.
Yeah.
Even from someone who can't, play guitar to save their life. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Comedy's so weird. It's such a weird animal.
Yeah, it's becoming the new rock and roll, I think, like in my mind, because it's become the last place where there's people. It still seems pretty fresh. Like, I, if I'm honest, man, like I work in the music industry. I'm not a musician, but I work in that industry. Like one of my jobs is powered by music.
Yeah.
And performances, and like I realized that sometimes, man, like music, certain types of music have been done to death.
Yeah.
Like, whereas comedy is probably one of the few things that's left where you can't do. Like, I'm not going to go up there and I'm not going to put on a comedy cover night. and cover a whole bunch of Dave Chappelle jokes.
Yeah, let's do some Jerry Seinfeld. You know, like
I've thought of similar ideas where we do cover nights, where like a comedian and I swap sets.
Yeah, we've talked. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah. So like now it's on the pod, people are going to fucking steal it. But anyway, it's also a good point of reference. Like this episode's released at a point in time, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
But anyway, maybe I was just covering my ass. But
there's a record now, so it's all good.
This is going out in the 14th of December 2017. If it's after that date, then
safe.
That's what we call an evergreen, dude. We can just fucking record shit
it.
back then and still back then. I mean now. And
but it's true, man. I reckon like comedy's like it really. I think the thing that's so liberating about it is that it's you against the world. Like, you know, it's someone getting up there and you don't know what it's going to be. And it's, and again, essentially like a lot of comedy is about, it's maybe not all of it, but a lot of it's about some version of you, like some version of whoever's there. That can be true or not true. Like you can be who you want to be. It's like, there's a good quote by Kurt Vonnegut, the writer who did the Slaughterhouse-5, and he said, "We are who we pretend to be, so we need to be careful who we pretend to be." And I think with comedy, I think that fits. I mean, he's talking about humanity as a whole, but I think with comedy that really fits because, like, like, you know, there's a version of whatever we are seeing, and that's so great because like you get someone like we talked earlier. I don't want to rehash too many bits here, but like, you know, you can get like your stuff and my stuff is different, but the similarities too, and then like, you know, there's a lot of narrative comics here because that's the predominant form, but then you get Luke who gets up and does one-liners and you're like, that's awesome, you know, like I love it. You get Chris Marlton who does like character comedy and it's so good, like, you know, like, I love it that it's different. Whereas, you know, like people playing metal, they're playing metal. You're playing in drop D, you're playing in drop D. Like that's not to, I'm being very general there. Like, but you know, like people getting up playing the blues. You know, like it's, I don't know. I love music too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not ragging on musicians. I just like, you know, I do some musical stuff in my own gear. So
yeah, dude. No, you're a fucking great singer.
Thank you.
I even addressed it last time. I was like, how am I meant to fucking follow that?
Well,
like,
mate.
I'm MCing and still, like, having to follow. The thing is, like, in most cases, the MC has to follow and bring up everybody, right? So it's just like, okay, so, yeah, cool. I'll fucking have to bring the crowd.
No,
this is going to be slightly easier because I have to just bomb a little bit to even it up.
You could just do jokes, because I don't know, I do jokes, but like, I like I love some of your jokes, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're the ones that I've actually written. All the rest, all my jokes probably started off as an unwritten joke, and then it became one. But, back to your quote before, man, I've got like a slightly more dumbed down version.
Sure, yeah.
This was from Charlie Manson.
Oh, yeah. Okay, very different guy to Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, but... I mean, hey, he had his own way of saying that same quote.
I suppose so, yeah.
He was like, do you want me to be the man you're trying to make me?
Yeah, that's...
Very Charles Manson spin on that same.
Yeah.
But
he came from the counterculture too in the 60s and,
A fucking Mindhunter on Netflix. If
I need to watch that. Everyone raves about it.
I'm a fan of 70s style cinema. And although it's like... recorded more recently, it's still got they did really well to recreate.
It's got that aesthetic
vibe
to it.
Yeah,
you should watch. Have you watched Serpico?
No.
Oh, you should.
Yeah,
it's really good. It's Al Pacino. It's about police and police corruption. It's right in the 70s. Like you've seen The Godfather. trilogy. Yeah. I mean, I reckon that's the pinnacle of
that.
It's just like, even though it's set in like the 40s and the 50s, but you can just in the filmmaking of it, it's so good. Yeah, but Serpico's mad, man. It's really good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's worth a look.
Okay, that wraps up the first part of this episode. We'll have Jeff in the second part where we'll go through some English teacher stuff, some idioms and random banter that I prepared for this show. So thanks to everyone for listening to the first part, and keep your eyes out for the second part, which will come out soon, where we'll do some more stuff. Use Jeff's expertise.
Well, let's not get too carried away.
So thanks for listening so far, and remember to like, subscribe, share, and rate for the podcast. And Jeff has some social medias. You're on...
Yes, so on Instagram, I'm Jeffrey Charles Comedy with a J.
Yep.
And I think I've got a Twitter that I don't use very much. It's I am Jeff Charles.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yeah. But it's pretty dormant.
Yeah, no, dude, it's out there, man. I've seen it. We've seen some of the barbecuing stuff that you've been talking about before. So, thanks for being on the show. And as I mentioned before, our mutual friend Bill Burr, he was talking on the podcast about Ralphie May and his barbecuing and stuff.
Oh, legend Ralphie.
And this is my Ralphie May impression. We've spoke about impressions. He just goes, he's just like, Bill, you're doing it all wrong, man. Like, you're doing it wrong. He's more like a southern.
He's like,
hey,
Bill, you're doing it all wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a that was like Blanche Dubois. it's from Streetcar Named Desire meets Ralphie May. That was bad.
I've got to think
I
of
apologize.
Ralphie May to do his accent. My impression of Ralphie May doing a bit is one where it's just like, where you from, player? Yeah.
That's good. That was good.
Yeah.
I loved Ralphie May. He was so good.
Yeah, man. So, so check it out for some more barbecuing tips and fucking adventures.
Definitely.
And, check me out on Marky Worthington Comedy, Facebook and Instagram, and Marky Comedy on Twitter. So, thanks for listening, and tune in for the next one.
Don't buy me a drink.
Just name names.
Yeah, right. Big Tony, you'll get fucking thrown out of the strip club with your floppy disk.
All day.
Make people feel shamed for shit all day.
Don't blow
Turn
it.
it into a hard drive.
Yeah, right.
We're here to
Keep it simple. Count your money.
that they're not proud of. Just give me $10.
All right.